Hey everybody, Nightmare on Kelp Street back, and today I'm going to be talking about the newest Tyler the Creator album, CHROMAKOPIA. As you can see from behind me, I've been a big Tyler fan for a few years now, and I'm very happy to be talking about this album today. I'm going to have a few little cuts here in between. I'm going to be checking my filming, make sure everything's going good. I'm going to be kind of talking about some of the albums I have right behind me and what I've been going, why I've been such a big Tyler Creator fan for years now. I saw Igor's tour live around 2018, 2019. I'm pretty sure that's the year that album dropped. This is the special edition that has the extra song Boyfriend on it. If you haven't heard that, I would recommend finding it on YouTube. The free version of it is on YouTube. There's a special edition LP that has that song cut into the album listing here. And I saw the Flower Boy tour live around 2016, 17. Both were incredible. Both were really great live shows. Both had people throw things into the stage, which I know has been an online kind of live tour event. Mishaps have been happening, people throwing things on stage, either hurting the artist or causing trip damage, which I'll say, if you're also a person like me who goes to live shows about once or twice a year, or even just more regularly than that, or a festival type person, don't throw things at artists that are performing. It's just rude. But today we're going to be talking about the newest album, CHROMAKOPIA. I've been very excited to get into this one, kind of going in depth. I have my laptop here for notes, so we'll kind of be going into that track by track here. And I just started by listening to St. Chroma again, which was incredible. So yeah, St. Chroma really comes in with this like creeping, like kind of military, like squad drum beat in the background, with Tyler the Creator really here being like whisper rap at the very beginning. I like his tactics since Flower Boy has really been, he's talked about in interviews how he's like, sometimes I feel like I want to strip my rapping back and then like let the song breathe around it. I would say Call Me If You Get Lost being one of the only examples of these 4 albums here that kind of go against that grain of like, it was a mixtape, so it was obviously more like kind of focused towards just the rappy rap side, and this album kind of brings that a little bit more back in CHROMAKOPIA, with the last minute of St. Chroma also being like a really good just rap verse coming back in, being like with Daniel Caesar as a feature. I didn't even know like Daniel Caesar was a feature in this song. He has an incredible voice for the little chorus there. Can you feel that light inside? Can you feel that fire? I think it's a gorgeous little interlude part that comes in 2 or 3 times in the song. But the transition over to Ratata, I just realized it's probably one of my favorite song transitions, like opening kind of song openers this year. I know St. Chroma is the opener, like full first song of the album, but the energy level isn't brought as fast and as heavy until we hit the beginning of ain't I met nobody that talk like that. If you hang up on me, I'll call right back. Like, it's just so much more aggressive and energetic. It's such a big contrast that you're like, oh, okay, he's really coming in like with that heavy kind of raspy rap like he used to do. Which gets us into Noid, the 3rd song, one of the longest on the album. And Noid has a music video that I might kind of link over through here, get a picture of here. I'd recommend go watching it. That is only about 2 minutes long. This version is almost 5 minutes long. So as you get into it, about that first minute 30, 2 minutes, you see that the whole rest of the song is just new content, which is very similar to how Kendrick Lamar's Butterfly did with the track I, and how it had different versions, depending on the album version, which I really love. But then we finally get the ending kind of new tail end to Noid that transitions over to Darling I. And I haven't talked about so far is Tyler's mom opening the album and being in multiple skits throughout the album. She's like, don't ever let nobody dim your light, and things like that. And I think that's really nice to open the album with. But as you go on, you start realizing that she's like kind of influencing this attitude where he's like, you better hurry up and strap it when you hit that girl, otherwise she's gonna strap you, like being paranoid about women taking his money or like hitting the baby. And then the mom comes in on being Darling I, being like, don't you ever tell her that you love her unless you actually love her. And things like that, which I'm like, oh, okay, you know, I agree with the sentiment of don't tell somebody you love them unless you actually love them, but I feel like I'm learning that he's picked up a lot of his mannerisms about how he talks about women and dresses women from his mom, and it's really interesting to see him have her more on the album. When she was on a skit or two on Call Me If You Get Lost, near the very end on one of the tracks, she was in an interlude that went over into the beginning of the next song. But Darling I is a really beautiful, actually great love song once you get into it. Darling, I keep falling in love. It's a gorgeous little section here, and we have Tizo Touchdown to join us as well, which I love Tizo. I listened to his album either early this year, late last year, I believe it was earlier this year. He had an album that came out that was really incredible, and I highly recommend giving it a listen through. I'll listen to it at least 4 or 5 times this year, so I would recommend it. I don't remember much off that. I want to see him live, but I couldn't catch him, unfortunately. Then we get into Hey Jane, which is one of the most interesting songs on the album next to Judge Judy. So yeah, at the very beginning of Hey Jane, his mom is like, always, always, always wear a condom. And he kind of comes in with her skits again. Which she has a really funny animated voice. I kind of like her in the skits, and they're really quick, so it's not that bad. If you revisit and you're like the type of person who doesn't like skits. But Hey Jane is all about how he's talking to this woman, and he realizes that she's going to have a baby, and he's nervous about it, and he knows it's his kid. And he's like, I know it's your decision either way to get rid of it or keep it, but I just want you to know I support you either way. And then finally at the ending tail end, which is a beautiful song, really wraps up story-wise at the end, where she's like, Tyler, I don't want this to impact our relationship. I know, I just want to be a good mom. I don't need any help from you if you don't. I really don't need that, but if you're willing to be there, I just don't want it to impact how we are as friends, because I appreciate and love you so much. And it's generally the type of story and song that I think about sometimes almost brings me to tears, because I'm like, this is such a wholesome, great story to portray in song in a very interesting, difficult situation at the time, I imagine, but such a gorgeous way to wrap everything up and, kind of give us this package where he's showing us, wrapping from her perspective, like, we're both supportive of each other. We understand and get each other, and we'll make it through this. And that's really nice. I really love that. But then we get into I Killed You, which right after that I was like, damn, what is this going to be about? But it's really about like his heritage. It's about how he's like, it's my culture, I'll never kill you. Is one of the big thesis points of this song I think of when I go back and listen, around like the middle point. Definitely a more upbeat one, kind of like tribal drums in it, very like very dense in the way its drum beat pattern and the way its instrumentals go throughout this album. When you listen over to it, you realize that some tracks like this are really themed around what the topic's about, and that's really cool. Judge Judy is one that gets caught in my head a lot because of the story of it, where he's kind of having this fling with these different women, and specifically it's one woman who's fill in for Judy here, is her name. And she talks about, she's like, a lot of people in my life judged me for how sexually active I was, or how I presented myself, or who I was, but you never did. And the ultimate third verse twist on the song is that, spoiler alert if you haven't heard the album yet, I recommend pausing. Okay, spoiler for Judge Judy is that the woman killed herself. It's very serious, one of the most serious topics and songs on the album. But generally one where, as somebody who, I go back and listen to my video about mental health and music on this channel, I've suffered through, suicide inclination or self-harm or things like that, and hearing a song like that represents that and talks about a woman who goes through that, is very, very nice to hear and very interesting, even if it's sad, because he ultimately is like, the song's thesis about is it being like, Judy is being like, I appreciate you during my lifetime. If you're reading this, I'm probably already dead. And generally that's my interpretation of the song. I feel like in the outro you could interpret it as that she was sick, and by the time he's reading this note she's dead, but I have to really dig back through the lyrics and check on that. Generally I was right. When I was looking at this ending verse here, she's like, sorry I haven't been communicating much, it's been spread into my head. If you're reading this, it's too late. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm right that it's about her suicide, which is so sad to hear, but definitely a story I appreciate that Tyler brought to this album, because while it makes the album a little more serious, a little more gritty in some moments where you're like, oh, that kind of hurt, how there's still like 7 more songs after this is just the midway of the album. It's really, really potent one to put right in the middle of the album, to really kind of divert our attention from like all these kind of bouncy, more kind of upbeat tracks. Even though the beat of this one is upbeat, so it kind of falls in that kind of bubblegum pop aspect here. But then we get into my favorite track of this album. I've listened to it with friends and family members. If they've been around me, they know. It's Getting Sticky! Tyler Creator, Glorilla, Sexy Red, and Lil Wayne are the 4 kind of posse cut song we have here. And this one's incredible. It's very, my brother mentioned the comment on this one. It's like a lunch table type beat where you're like that, but brought to a bigger, higher quality production song, which I think is really cool. I love the energy of that. And everybody in the features here kills it. Probably the least high in ranking of my verses. If I had to rank the verses here, Sexy Red bottom, then Lil Wayne, then Glorilla, then Tyler. Yeah, I think that'd be my ranking. But generally, it's great front to back. Every minute changes up verse, which is awesome. bringing us a new person on the song, keeping it fresh. And then that beat and that song transitions over into Take Your Mask Off with Daniel Caesar again and LaToya Williams. And this one's a bit more of a slowdown compared to the rest of the track listing so far. Like, from what we just came from in Sticky especially, the keys on this one are incredible, the synths, the piano, the instrumental is so lush in this one, it's so beautiful. And I really think of the chorus in this one really sticks with me too. It reminds me a lot of the Flower Boy era choruses. I hope you find yourself, I hope you find yourself, I hope you take your mask off. There's a very smooth type of buttery chorus I would expect off some of these earlier albums like Igor or Flower Boy, and I really like the energy carrying over in the next albums. Then we have Tomorrow. This one also kind of carries that melody energy where it's like just a lot of melodies, a lot of like kind of strings and guitars and things like that. The vocalizations of Don't You Wait On Me, I'll Be Fine stick in my head a lot. This one is pretty great right out. I would consider, when I look back on this, these two tracks are probably one of my lowest cuts on the album, honestly, just because I don't visit them out of context as much, and like when I shuffle through, like, whatever my shuffle lands on, it doesn't hit as hard, when I through a shuffle listen compared to like a front to back listen. I'm not going to skip them, obviously. I think they're right out gorgeous enough, but it's not something I'm clamoring to rush back to right now, at least. Where we have I'm always a more energetic type song person, so that's why I love like the next track. Like, They Thought I Was Dead with Schoolboy Q and Santa Gold. What a crazy combo there. Santa Gold being a kind of older 2000s rock artist, like rock pop artist, and Schoolboy Q from TDE. Incredible mix there. I did a cover of Blue Lips album earlier this year. Highly recommend go watching that. And then one of the weirdest kind of features in the album I didn't really realize until I revisits here. Like Him with Lola Young. Lola Young, who I haven't done an album cover on yet, but I highly, highly, highly recommend her album this year. This Wasn't Meant For You Anyway in 2024. This is a gorgeous album, and I'm surprised I haven't covered it yet because it's one of my top 10, top 20 albums of the year. I love this album. I just need to kind of go over a solo review of it, so it might come up in a short or whatever soon. But yeah, incredible feature to pull out in here. Really deep cut for me, where I was like, damn, Tyler's really tapped in with other artists out here that are really like ongoingly and really good that I love. So I was really happy to see the kind of pop, like, I love Tyler albums because they're just like Gorillaz albums to me, where like you have a good hefty feature list of people that you always know will show up, and like you have a good range of people kind of brought together. Unlike the DJ Khaled album, DJ Khaled did the same thing, but he like wants to make it all about him. I want them to be all about them. I want like the stars of the show to be the features. And I feel like a lot of tracks end up like this. Like Schoolboy Q feature was the best feature on that song to me. The Lola Young part was the best part of like Him to me. The Doechii feature on Balloon, one of my other favorite songs of this year now. That beat is so funny and stupid and weird. I love it. But they go like how it all wraps around with kind of tying each other's verses, where Tyler's like, just listen to that beat. That beat is so wacky. And then the sample here. Don't stop! You millionaire still be a bum ass boy. The song's so good. But how Doechii and his verses kind of tie each other too, where he's like, I don't even like girls, bitch, I'm gay. And then it cuts to Doechii's verse later where she's like, she responds, kind of in response to that, be like, if he is gay and I am gay, then we are nouns. I'm about to I need the pussy now. I'm like, the whole section of Doechii's verses is one of my favorite verses by her this year. It's so funny. She has such a good animated voice. I'm so happy to see her under TDE and get a lot of attention. But then we find one of the most gorgeous songs on the album is our outro, which I really love. It reminds me a lot of Are We Still Friends? As I hope you find your way home. It's really gorgeous. 4-minute, one of our second longest songs of the album, next to Judge Judy and Noid. But I will take a long kind of just good ride out compared to like some albums that like just kind of just you blink and it's over, or a song that's so long that you get tired of the song by the end of it. It's the perfect little 4 or 5 minute kind of cut to really ride us out with those little more soothing harmonies and sounds and things like that. But this was a stacked album. This is one of my favorite listens of the year, and I don't know if it's going to end up in my top 10 or top 20 because I'm still kind of impartial to my feelings on how, on the first half, we have this kind of narrative of Tyler talking about women the way he does, like in demeaning ways, or like being like, don't trust them and things like that. But in the second half, he really starts redeeming himself and making a lot of songs really focused around how you respect women, how they present themselves, aesthetics or sexually, or respect their demeanor and don't judge them for things they might not be presenting to you or talking about, and be nice, like you respect women, and be nice to them, and love them and care for them, things like that, like breaking away from the cycle that his mom kind of taught him and almost got him into, which I think is interesting. But the controversy that I have over this album, and I don't know if maybe the comments and other people will mention this too, is this might end up being a little bit of a rant at the end here, is that I don't know, I just feel like it's interesting how I feel like some type of men, some people, not just men, but people in general, could come away from the first half of this album being like, oh, the first half is good. The second half, it gets too weak and bitchy about, like, talking about, like, how he does about women and things like that. It just falls off by the second half to me. Like, they'll take away, like, tracks like Sticky and things like that, but they won't get the core kind of deeper message of this. But I feel like you can hear it through at least all the way once, and I highly recommend most people watching this video do. Then you'll get the full context about, like by the end you're like, okay, tracks like Noid, I still don't agree with lines like where he's talking about strap up with that bitch before she straps you. That's still one of the lowlights of Noid to me, but generally it doesn't taint the full album to me, where I'll go back to it and I'm like, okay, this is still a really good album. So generally that's where I'm at now. Let me know in the comments what you think, comparatively to his discography in the past, like, close to a decade now, what I have lined up here. But yeah, I just looked up that Cherry Bomb came out in 2015, so we're almost a full decade now from this kind of a slew of albums and these years of albums that he's put behind his belt. But in comparatively to his discography now, I would say I would rank it, let's think about it here. I would rank it Flower Boy at the top, Igor my second top, CHROMAKOPIA my third top now, Call Me If You Get Lost the fourth top. And I don't like Cherry Bomb lyrically a lot, except for some pockets. So I have the instrumental version here, Cherry Bomb. But I would rank Cherry Bomb probably the lowest. There are some really, really good highlights in all of his discography in Cherry Bomb to me, but some songs are just like too much for casual listens. So that's why Igor and Flower Boy end up becoming my favorites out of his discography. But let me know what you think. This channel is all about our communication together and how I really want to kind of over time just kind of cover albums and talk about what I love, but also get feedback from you on what you're listening to, how you think about these albums or artists, what you want me to cover. I now started a list here. You might not be able to see it that well here because I'm using natural lighting today, but I started a list here of fan recommendations. So I generally want to get to all of them at some point. I might just cover them shorts and stuff. So if you recommend something, highly recommend checking the shorts, and you might see it covered on there if I don't cover it in the main channel. Generally, an album really has to kind of like grasp me and like kind of soak me in for me to do a main channel video on it. So if you see it on the main channel, that means that you picked a really good pick. But yeah, my name is Nate Raquel Street. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Leave a comment on what you want me to cover, what you thought about anything I've talked about in this video, and I'll see you around, Kelpies. Mwah.